Assalamualaikum, what's up folks? Muklis here from Caricarz. So our today's video is going to be a little bit different because usually we're just roaming around in KL, but today we're all the way in Pekan Pahang. What are we doing here? Of course, we're coming to visit the birthplace of this sexy looking, sporty looking SUV. This is of course the new Volkswagen Touareg R-Line CKD, for the first time being locally assembled in Pekan Pahang, first time being assembled outside of Europe. So in today's video, we're going to have a look what's so special about this luxury mid-size SUV. Alright, so the new Touareg that arrives in our market this year is essentially the third generation facelift version of the Touareg, which is of course the first Touareg to arrive here since the first gen model, which was launched more than 10 years ago. And in terms of design, I mean, the car looks very mature. It looks a little bit safer compared to other MLB Evo siblings, but I have to say, after looking at this car for quite a while, I think it's a very handsome and very charming SUV. Right, this is especially true for our market because it comes solely in this R-Line specification, and it got some snazzy bits, including this chrome front grille that is quite wide. It goes all the way with, and if you notice, of course, it comes with this LED HD matrix headlights with these 3 light signatures, and there's actually a light bar that goes across the grille here. And of course, you notice there's also the R badge here because this is the R-Line specification, and the R-Line specification also grants this car with a little bit sportier front bumper design with massive air intakes on both sides and finish in this nice gloss black color. Alright, so let's move to the side. Of course, this being a large car, it rides on 20-inch Braga alloy wheels for our market, and there are also other 22 or 21 options out there, but for our market it only comes with this 20-inch. But I have to say, the car just looks nice with this set of wheels, and it's shot in this Bridgestone tires, which we're going to talk about later. And of course, other R specific design touches, including the R badge down here. And looking at the side profile of the car, yeah, like I said, it boasts this very conventional SUV body style, but it got some merits and got some sportiness, especially if you look at the rear part here, because at the back here, of course, being a Volkswagen car, it comes with this fancy LED taillights. It looks very nice with nice startup animation and whatnot, and of course light bar. And special for our market, it got this illuminated Volkswagen badge, and this thing is actually quite rare because only the European and the American market got this, and outside of that we also got it, so that makes it quite special, as I say. And apart from that, you also get other R specific touches. Of course, down here you get the squared off tailpipes, this gloss black bumper garnish, there's a rear spoiler. But overall, I have to say, like I said earlier, yes, it's not as flashy as something like the Porsche Cayenne or the Bentley Bentayga, which is its MLB Evo platform cousin, but I have to say the Volkswagen Touareg R-Line is a pretty handsome SUV. And of course, when we're talking about Volkswagen cars, we of course must talk about its IQ.Light system, and it is also offered in the Touareg here. So the IQ.Light system is essentially a very innovative and very smart high beam technology developed by Volkswagen Group, where this light contains thousands and thousands of micro LEDs, and all these 3 light signatures, they can project lights very precisely, so meaning that it not only comes with the auto high beam function, but the high beam function can actually control themselves, where it can illuminate specific parts of the road or things coming in front of the car. So for example, if you're passing by like a road sign and the sign is dark, this light can just illuminate part of it to the signboard there, so it gives you a clear view of the signboard. And when there's a car passing by your Touareg here, the LED headlights will dim itself down so that it won't glare too much on the opposite car driving there. So I have to say, it's good to see that Volkswagen offered the IQ.Light function for the Touareg R-Line here, because this is a very innovative and very good thing to have in Malaysia, especially in dark road conditions. Alright, so in terms of powertrain, of course, big cars like the Touareg requires a pretty big and equally beefy powertrain setup, and that's what we get for our market, because the Touareg R-Line CKD here is powered by a familiar 3-litre twin turbocharged V6 TSI engine. Of course, this is the same engine used on the locally assembled Porsche Cayenne, but on the Touareg application, this V6 mill outputs 340 PS and 450 Nm of torque. Mated to an 8-speed automatic Tiptronic transmission, Volkswagen claims the Touareg can do from 0 to 100 km per hour in just 6 seconds, while top speed is capped at 250 km. And on top of that, you got to remember, big SUVs like the Touareg here for the European market are really designed for long haul, cross country, or even cross-continental travel. And that's why it explains, according to Volkswagen Malaysia, the Touareg comes with a pretty hefty tank of 90 liters of fuel. So meaning that theoretically, using around 95, you need about 200 bucks to fully fill up this car, and goes to show that it really is designed for long haul distance travel. But enough talk about the specs, let's drive the car. Alright folks, so now we're driving the Volkswagen Touareg R-Line CKD SUV, and the first thing you'll notice when you drive this car is how smooth and how nice is it to drive, because like I said earlier, this car underpins the same MLB Evo platform as other Volkswagen Group models, including the Audi Q8, Audi Q7, Porsche Cayenne and Bentley Bentayga, and not to forget the Lamborghini Urus. So with decent chassis and a good V6 powertrain setup, this car promises to deliver a very exhilarating drive. I mean, in terms of power and everything, it's more than sufficient. 340 PS, 450 Nm is more than enough to carry this car around rather effortlessly. But I have to complain just a bit on the 8-speed gearbox, because I kind of find it to be a little bit laggy at certain times, but in most situations it is okay, no problems whatsoever. But the good thing, the thing that really sets the Touareg on par with some of its rivals, is actually the inclusion of the air suspension system, which I think is very, very essential for luxury SUVs, especially big ones like this, to have, because it provides you a very good degree of flexibility in terms of comfort, right? And you can adjust in the driving mode. So in case you want something a bit more sporty, you can just put on a sports driving mode and it will concurrently adjust the suspension setting to the lowest setting, to the lowest and the most stiff setup, allowing you to carve around corners, which I've already tried around the Careline highway. This car can really handle. And if you want a little bit more comfort, you can always put on the comfort or the normal mode, and the suspension lifts up a little bit and the car glides smoothly on the road like you cannot believe it. Even if you're driving like more than 100 km per hour, it doesn't really feel like so, just to show how good the air suspension system, and of course not to mention the noise, vibration and harshness suppression on the car is also nice. NVH level is quite decent. Paired with the air suspension system, it is a very dreamy ride for you to have for you and your passengers. And more importantly, you have to remember also that the Touareg is one of the few fully combustion powered models in the segment, because some of it's already got a hybrid and the plug-in hybrid setup. So I have to say it's really good for those who don't really want to delve into the electrification thing, to have a full combustion option. But of course that comes at a bit of sacrifice, because of course you get not so good fuel economy. I mean, of course one full tank can last you up to 1000 kilometers, but like I said earlier, the full tank is like 90 liters, so it's gonna cost you a bit. But enough of that. Of course, in overall, if you're looking for a mid-size SUV that has all the bells and whistles, you want a perfect balance between performance and comfort, I have to say you really should consider the Touareg. I mean, of course, driving-wise, it's not as good as the Porsche Cayenne, and comfort-wise, it may be not as plush as, of course, the Bentley Bentayga, but the Touareg, I would say, sits perfectly in the middle between the sporty Cayenne and the luxury Bentley Bentayga. So it's a very good compromise for you to have, in my opinion, because this is a perfect all-rounder SUV for you and your family to live in. Alright, so in terms of the ergonomics and the driving layout or setup for the Touareg, I think it's quite typical of the modern cars nowadays, because it is laden with screen. Of course, we're going to talk about the infotainment screen, which is quite big, and I have to say, although the screens are nice and very colorful, I find it to be sometimes a little bit disturbing because how big it is. But in terms of position, I think it's okay. But the problem with having central display like this, big like this, is that you need to sacrifice where the aircon vents need to be mounted a little bit lower than usual, so kind of hinders the airflow for you and your passenger at the front. But nonetheless, other than that, it's okay. Of course, we can complain about the absence of the head-up display, but I have to say the instrument cluster is quite colorful and quite intuitive enough for you, so I have to say you don't really miss much of the HUD up there. Okay, in terms of steering wheel, it's quite nice. The buttons are nearly, but of course it comes with this haptic touch button, which some people don't like. I'm also not a big fan, but after using it for a while, it's a bit okay. But more importantly, the steering wheel is power adjustable, and it ties down with the memory function with the seat, so meaning that if you change the steering wheel and the seat and you save it to memory, the steering also corresponds it directly, which I think is quite good because it's quite easy. So you just need to press one button and the steering and the seats will adjust according to your setting, which is quite good to have. Okay, other than that, in terms of safety, I have to say ADAS function, you got all the bells and whistles you can expect, and most of it work pretty nicely. I like the rear cross and front cross safety alert, especially when you're reversing out of the parking spot, which is quite helpful. Also, the blind spot monitor works rather intuitively, but I have to say a bit complaint on the adaptive cruise control, because I find it a bit hard for you to set it up, because you have to go through the buttons and everything, so it's a bit more complicated than most other cars that I've used. So I think for those who don't really use ACC, then this shouldn't be a problem. But other than that, other functions all good. And in terms of passive safety, of course, you got tire pressure monitoring system, which is I think very important and expected in this kind of car. And then you also get this neat night vision view, which I think quite helpful if you're traveling in like rural areas, in dark roads and in nighttime quite a lot, because it really gives you a glimpse of a night vision, and it's good to see like if there's any obstacles or something. But in case you don't need, you also use LED HD matrix light adaptive function, which is I've explained earlier. But other than that, in terms of overall safety package, this is one of the best well-packaged safety features you've seen in cars of this price. So nothing much to complain, but yeah, just the screen setup is maybe it's a bit too much. Maybe some people would still prefer to have some physical buttons, obviously, for the climate controls and not. But other than that, there's nothing much to complain. Alright, so in case you don't think the Touareg is luxury enough from an exterior design, wait until you get inside the car because it is pretty brim with all the tech and luxury amenities you can think of. Okay, we're at the front now. Okay, lights here is this R badge steering wheel because it is an R-Line car. It is a steering wrap. The steering is wrapped in this plush leather material. You also get these touch sensitive buttons, which some of you like it, some of you not really a fan. You also get pedal shifters, and at the back here it comes with this very intuitive, very bright digital instrument cluster, 12.3 inch, and it's very intuitive. You can switch to the menu. You got assistive system, driving data, so you can really play around. But unfortunately, it doesn't come with a head-up display. But I would say the instrument cluster is quite good. You don't really miss the head-up display. Okay, at the center here, it comes with this 15-inch center infotainment display that supports both wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is quite nice to have. And the infotainment is nice, it's bright, it's big, but all of the car setting hides beneath it, so you really need to take a little bit of time to get used to familiarize with the menus and everything, including climate controls, which is down here, shortcuts. You also got shortcuts on this side, which is quite nice. Okay, at the center console here, down here, you got the wireless charging pad, you got one USB Type-C, you got the 12-volt socket, and then you got the gear shifter here, two cup holders, some physical buttons, including the dials for the driving mode, and the air suspension adjustment. Okay, down here you get the cubbies, secret cubbies. There are two USB Type-Cs down there, which is quite nice. And talking about the seats now, okay, the two front seats are not only powered, they are also ventilated and heated. They got this leather upholstery with the R badge, which is quite nice, and both of them got memory function. You even got memory function for the driver's side and for the passenger, which is, I think, quite neat to have. Okay, apart from that, what else can talk about the car? Of course, the ambient lighting system. You can see it is very nice. It goes all the way from the door cards to the front dash, even on the cup holders, and all the way to the back, which is, I think, quite neat to have. Okay, other amenities include, you also get the 13-speaker Dynamic audio sound system, but unfortunately, if you look up, there are no panoramic glass roof or sunroof whatsoever. But I have to say, some people gonna accept it, but some people kind of think that if you spend this much on the car, you kind of expect it to have. But nonetheless, I would say it's not really big of a miss on the way. But overall, I have to say, in terms of cabin amenities, with the exception of the absence of both the HUD and the panoramic sunroof, I think the Touareg interior is quite nice. And let's give a demo of the sound, shall we? Because this 13-speaker audio system by Net Audio is quite nice, so let's have a try. Alright folks, it is good to report that life at the back seat of the Touareg R-Line CKD is a pretty spacious and luxurious one. Okay, you can see from here, I've got plenty of headroom. I'm standing 175 cm tall, and the car's conventional SUV roofline really gives it pretty ample headroom up here. Okay, in terms of legroom, check this out. Okay, the front seat will be adjusted to my driving position. Okay, down here you can see I've got plenty of legroom, no issues. I can even fold up my leg like this. Goes to show that there's plenty of room at the back here. In terms of amenities, is also not bad because you got 4 aircon vents, you got 2 at each of the B pillars, that side also got, and you got 2 at the center here, and you also get dedicated aircon panels for right and left side because this car comes with 4-zone climate control. So you got 1 for the passenger side, 1 for the driver's side, 1 for the front passenger side, and then 2 zones at the back here, which is quite nice. Okay, other than that, you also get this privacy shutter blind at the back here, which is, I think, quite nice to have, especially for those who harboring VIPs, or if you want a little bit more privacy. You also get a tweeter speaker here, you got ambient lighting, and in case you're asking, where is the USB charging port? There's a secret storage down here actually. You need to press it down and go. As you can see here, there are 2 USB charging ports, 1 12-volt socket. But unfortunately, in terms of flooring spacing, I have to say, due to its all-wheel drive setup, it comes with this rather tall transmission tunnel, so meaning that 3% at the back is a little bit of impossible unless you're harboring kids, and I think it's okay. But for adults, I think 2 adults at the back is the most comfortable setting. But other than that, there's nothing much to complain about the Touareg except for this central tunnel. Other than that, if you're harboring like 4 to 5 person in this whole car, I would think that journey will be very comfortable and very nice in this luxury mid-size SUV. Okay, once you open the tailgate here, it frees up space of up to 810 liters of boot space according to Volkswagen. So you can harbor, I think, like 5 to 8 luggages, and you can see from here you got tons of space. And it also comes with a 12-volt socket for your convenience, and you also get these buttons to lower down the suspension, so it helps you to unload heavier stuff so that you won't bang or drop your items, which is quite nice. Okay, down here it also comes with a spare wheel, which is quite nice to have, especially in modern cars now, because most of them does not come with this anymore, which is quite good. But other than that, you also get power tailgate function. Nothing much to complain here, but again, thanks to its strictly 5-seater setup, it comes with this sizable boot space. Alright folks, to conclude, having driven this mid-sized luxury SUV for a few days, I have to say that the Volkswagen Touareg R-Line CKD ticks all the correct boxes to make it a very ideal mid-sized luxury SUV of your choice. I mean, what's not to like? It's got a very decent look, a little bit more subdued, but a bit more mature, and of course, a very handsome looking SUV nonetheless. Decent powertrain performance thanks to the V6 setup, nice ride handling and comfort thanks to the air suspension setup, and of course, top-notch luxury inside and outside. But of course, some may argue, why would you pay so much money for a Volkswagen car? Because this car is not cheap. Even with the CKD model, it is still priced at 469,900 ringgit, including the Volkswagen insurance package. But I have to say, for the Touareg here, you really need to look at it as a cheaper alternative to your Audi Q8s, your Porsche Cayennes, your Bentley Bentayga, instead of seeing it as a $500,000 Volkswagen car. Because I have to say, on paper and after experiencing driving this car, it is really on par with all of its bigger MLB Evo siblings and other German-made or European adversaries out there. So if you're looking for something a little bit different than the usual German suspect, maybe you should really consider the Volkswagen Touareg R-Line CKD. Well, that's pretty much our video today. So what do you guys think of the Volkswagen Touareg here? Would you take this pekan mid SUV over any other German SUVs available out there? As always, don't forget to leave your thoughts, comments below. For more content like this, check out Caricarz.com/news. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.